My ex texted me asking for closure a month ago. And when I read that message, I didn't say anything. I couldn't say anything. I didn't really have any feelings. But there was one line in that message that stood out time and time again. I want to wake up one day and not feel remorse for how I treated you. When I read that line, it stuck. It would pop in my head while I was driving. It would pop in my head while I was going home. It would pop in my head while I was at the gym. It would pop time and time again. And eventually, it got to a point where I needed to respond. I gave myself time. I said, you know what, I'll give it time. And if it doesn't go away, I will respond. And it didn't. And so I responded, and she responded back. And we had a conversation about things that were probably unnecessary, but we caught up. And in that, I felt weird. And I'm not saying I felt weird because I felt emotions for this person. No, it was on the contrary. By the end of the conversation that we had, I didn't feel anything. I genuinely did not feel anything for this person. I genuinely felt like this was just another person I was just talking to. And it's weird because if you were to ask me months ago, I would have said that this person means the world to me. Yet today, or the day that they texted me, I felt nothing. Like they were just a friend. And so it gave me that feeling of, is this what moving on feels like? Where you just kind of just text them and you don't feel anything. And I've had to go down this rabbit hole even more because I started to think to myself, well, maybe it's also the fact that they reached out to me and we texted, yet whatever they tell me isn't new information. They can apologize all they want. They can say whatever they want, but whatever they say, it's nothing new to me. I've already been through it. I had to go through it. I had to rethink the entire past. I've had to think the breakup. I've had to think of this person leaving me for someone else. I've went through the entirety of that. So when I just had this conversation with them again, it was just kind of like it's just a loop that I don't really need anymore. But it was nice to catch up because it was new stuff. But for the majority of the conversation, I just felt like, oh, I've been through this. I don't really feel anything or know anything new. But also on the flip side, if we were to flip it to her perspective, I would assume that she would just feel shock because now she has all this new information that I gave her. Because what I talked about was all new. She, for the longest time, did not really think about what I went through, how I went through my stuff, what happened. And so I think for while I walked away from this conversation with nothing new and just feeling like, oh, this is just a person, she walked away with, this is very different. And it's interesting. But that feeling, I expected something more. I expected from when they reached out to me and we had a conversation that I would feel something, but I didn't. I just felt like me. And alas, I'm going to be honest here. I was drinking with my friends a little bit and I was getting a little drunk. But even then, before I got drunk and while we were texting, I still felt nothing. And when I woke up the next morning from the aftermath of this whole conversation, I immediately went on my phone and went through those messages and I just skimmed through it real quick. And then I deleted the entire conversation like nothing happened. It was almost as if I just said to myself, yeah, this conversation never existed. And I deleted it as if nothing. Eventually you move on and it's weird because you don't think you would. And I'm not saying it'll happen in like a year. No, it happens in their own different times. People will have their different speeds on how they're going to move on. But I think it also depends on how you handle a breakup. How do you handle it? Do you just shove your feelings and the emotions and the memories to the side? Or do you accept it and integrate that into your life and say, yeah, this happened. Yeah, it hurts. But you know what? I will think about it. And when these memories and feelings pop up again, I'll go through it because I know I'm better than this. I know I'll get through this. And whatever path you choose will really determine on how fast or slow you move on from this breakup. So for me, in a way, I don't want to say it, but I have to. I think I've moved on. But if I were to talk about the story of what happened that night that she discarded me and chose someone else, I'd know I would start to cry. And while I talk about this a lot, I talk about love, I talk about life, I only do it because I know that what I went through is very deep and it's very open. It's something that not many people would share about their life, and yet I'm over here just blabbing about it, on and on about it. But I only do it because I find it odd. I've said it for a long time. I feel like an open book. I feel like I could just share whatever that happened in my life and not really care. And this is one of those prime examples where I'm just like, yeah, this happened, and I'm okay. And what really started this conversation would have to be all of what I'm doing on this, talking about what happened, talking about my past, talking about how I felt, that this person had to reach out and finally say, I'm sorry. But it only took the amount of videos I did and the people that I've been helping for that person to reach out. Now that's hitting me right now. It took all of this for me to finally get my answer. Ah, wow. It just took all of this. It took me finally opening up for me to get the answer that I was looking for, yet when you finally send that, it's too late. I needed it before I did this. And maybe that would have changed everything from then to now. Now that's stinging a little bit. That's I can feel it. It stings. It stings because I wish it didn't take that much. I wish it didn't have to take me doing all of this for me to get noticed, for me to finally get that response that I've been needing, or the response that I've wanted. Yet it had to take that. And while that hurts a little bit, I know I'll be okay. Eventually, you move on. It just depends on how you do it.